Hey guys, welcome back to Porch Chats.
Welcome back. I was
Um,
gonna say happy Sunday, but I guess it's Sunday for us. But you could be watching this on.
could be a Sunday. You could be watching it on Sunday.
You're
You're
watching
only
this on
allowed to
another
watch
day.
this or listen to this on a Sunday.
Oh, that's intense.
I don't know.
You could only listen to this on Sunday.
Yeah, you notice we're dressed for Sunday for church.
Yeah, even though I did already have my post church nap, but I did sleep in this. It was actually kind of
Yes,
comfy
You were sleeping like in a full-on dress.
in a full on dress and
Which is
sweater.
intense.
I fell asleep on the couch. I had to have immediate nap today. I was like
Mm-hmm.
struggling.
Well, Westy kind of did too, though.
Yeah, he
Poor
was
Henry.
out.
All right. You might notice the aging of our flowers. They're getting close to not being in the
They're
videos
so
anymore. They've hung
they're
on like
so pretty.
a week at this point.
I mean,
Or like 4 days, 5 days.
well, yeah, and the floor's probably had them longer than that, so.
Yeah.
I mean, they're
Shout
staying
out,
strong. Mother
of Wild.
Mother of Wild, yeah.
All
Mother
right.
of Wild.
So,
Crushing the florals.
huh?
Said Mother of Wild always crushing the florals.
Always. And you probably saw them in your Instagram. I would assume
Yeah,
people
my
have. In your maternity shoot.
that fun maternity shoot was super fun.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we wouldn't be doing a maternity shoot if it wasn't for our love. What a great segue.
I love that.
So today we're
It's a
going to
good
talk
segue,
about we met when we were 13 years old and we got married when we were 18 years
and
old.
19.
And we had a kid
Marcus
when we
was
were
18.
19 and 20 years old. And we have two
True
kids
story.
at 21 years old. So,
Yeah.
crazy relationship timeline. We're going to talk about that a little bit. I want to start with, I've asked you this in person, but probably not on a video. What was your first impression of me?
My first impression of you.
Mhm.
Well, honestly, we laugh about this, and I know Marcus knows what I'm going to say, but originally, I don't, remember meeting him, first of
Yeah.
all, which
Which
is
is
not
okay.
a dig at him
No.
at all. I just don't recall the first time
I
that we
remember it
met.
so much.
And
She had a
this is how it is
black
every time.
sundress on. That was kind of like a t-shirt dress.
It was
and very
navy.
small. Huh?
It was navy.
Right, navy. That's what I meant. It was like a dark, that dark, like, you couldn't tell if it was navy or
Right.
black. And then it had little flowers on it. And what
He
was I
always
wearing?
prides himself. Baby, I don't know what you're wearing.
Mhm.
And
Probably didn't know what I was wearing like a year later.
okay,
either.
this is the thing about when Marcus and I met. We were both 13 years
13.
old. Okay, you were 13. I was 14.
Yeah.
I
I think we were
have
both 13 actually at the
I've
time.
been the same height since 8th grade, and I have
Mm.
not grown. And I would say at the time, I wasn't necessarily
Did you
tall.
just fight off a yawn?
Yeah, I fought it with everything in
Yeah,
me.
I know.
Um,
Are you okay?
I'm gonna be fighting yawning. It probably wasn't wise to take my church nap before.
I know. You should have drank a coffee.
Honestly,
or
it's
something
probably. I kind of feel a little bit peppier now than I did though.
Well,
I
good.
was super sleepy. But I was I'm the same height now that I was when I was 14.
Yep.
And Marcus was
And you look.
5 foot tall.
Hey, you look relatively
Genuinely.
similar too. Like you looked very grown up. You had braces, but other than that, you looked like a lot older than I did.
Yes. And so I thought, and I had heard about Marcus's family because keep in mind, my family is moving back to be a part of
We met
this
at
church. We
church.
met at church. My dad is
Yep.
coming back on as the full-time pastor because we helped plant this church. We're
Mhm.
coming back. And I've heard about this family that
you knew
has
who I
3
was?
boys. I knew who Marcus was. In theory, I knew who you were. I didn't really.
Did I
I
have a
was not thinking
reputation?
about it. Marcus was very concerned about me from the beginning.
What do
I
you
was
mean
not concerned about it. You were very
I wasn't worried about you.
no, but you were very focused on what I
Interested
was
in-
doing.
Yeah.
Okay. Yes, concerned with what I was doing.
Okay. Yeah. Fair.
And so
But I was 5 foot tall.
But I was
I'm
not.
5'4" on my driver's license.
I thought his younger
So-
brother was older than him because he
Grew
was
late.
shorter, which is totally fine. And I wasn't
Well, the other day I'm almost the shortest in my family.
yeah, it's true.
So.
We had him and all of his brothers.
And I'm
back to
only
back.
okay. Here's the thing. At
You're
this
not
point
short,
now,
though.
I'm 6 foot tall. I don't even have
This
to
whole
lie.
episode is gonna end up being us talking about
Yeah.
Marcus's
It's
height.
okay to date a short guy. Okay. No. I'm a champion for short guys, but I'm not short anymore.
All I
No.
can picture is that Short King video.
Short King video about me.
No.
Did you make a Short King video about me?
No, that like little comedy clip we watched about like
Marcelo Hernandez was.
It was like Short King Day. Yeah, it was on SNL. It was like not that funny, but it did make me think of it. But babe,
okay,
listen.
Okay, so your first impression was that I was short.
Yes, but like that was, I guess, my first impression.
You want to know my first impression of you?
My first. Please tell us. Okay, let's keep in mind.
No, okay.
There's no way that, like, that was your first impression of me.
Yeah, it was.
And I don't believe you that you remember.
I looked at pictures of you online before I met you, and I was like, "Oh yeah."
You were like, "Oh yeah."
Yep. We could put up a picture of you on Instagram.
Guys, this was also my like. I had just box dyed my hair brown.
But it was more orange.
Yes, but it was orange because
That was like my dream girl for some reason. I don't know.
It was bad that I box dyed it brown and then I tried to go back blonde, but it took quite some time, and so my hair was like this uncomfortable orange color.
And at the time, I was trying to look like Justin Bieber, and I was failing.
Yeah, you did kind of have the side swoop going.
Yeah.
It wasn't even fully there though. Like you were kind of half committed to the side.
Can we keep this in mind? Justin Bieber is the same height now that I was then.
No, he's not.
Yes, he is. He's like 5'5".
No, he's not.
Yeah,
you were not 5. You were not even 5'5" then, because I'm 5'5", and I have been 5'5" since 8th grade.
Justin Bieber's official height. He's 5'9". Never mind. Okay. He's 5'9".
Well,
look at that guy. He's a tall guy.
Well, even if he was 5'5", that would still be taller than you when I met you.
Okay.
We're gonna have to move on from his height, or we're never gonna get through our story.
So,
my first impression of Marcus, short. His first impression of me, hot. I would say both of those things
were accurate. Yeah. So, okay, but I thought at the time that I was in love with you. You didn't know I existed, but I thought I was in love with you. I thought we were going to get married. I thought it was like the Lord was telling me. And maybe, I don't know, but
which I do think is a sweet part of our story.
Right. That's great.
For sure.
Super cute. Looking back, though, I don't think I was in love, like, yet.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Well, and I think something we've talked about a lot is what really defines that, and also is like the construct of being in love with someone. Yeah. Really the way that the world paints it. And I don't think we
Do you think we fell in love at 13?
No. I don't. Well, and we kind of joke about it tongue in cheek, like we weren't really in love, or like we didn't really love each other.
But we didn't know what it was.
No, and I think too, when you're 13 years old, like, well, and even I think more past that, because our relationship, I don't think it has to do with age as much as maturity. Because as much as just the depth of which you even have capacity to care about someone. And I would say so much more of what shapes your idea of love is where you are in your relationship with the Lord and what the gospel is to you. Yeah. And obviously, do I think that a 13-year-old is capable of loving another person? Absolutely.
I mean, it worked out for us, but it just had to grow a lot.
But yeah, and I think at that point too, a lot more of like relationship is just friendship, you know? Mm-hmm. And I think even in that way though, like you're just still so young and fresh in all of your relationships, and in especially if you're walking with the Lord. Yeah, who you are.
Fighting yawns. Yeah. Fighting them over here. Doing battle with yawns.
Sorry. I'm like, I don't know what it is.
I mean, you're winning somewhat.
Kind of. I should probably stop trying to talk through them, because I become a little bit less understandable.
You're a little confusing. Yeah, but I think, like...
What would you say?
I don't think we were in love at the time, but I would encourage people who are either looking to parent teenagers, or who are, you know, young teens, or like even just like dating and feel in the beginnings of like dating, like not to jump to like, I'm in love, this is the person for me, this is what God has told me, this is the, you know, relationship. I think Christian guys do that a lot. Probably I did it. Like, God has told me that we're going to get married. It's funny though,
because I would actually say, I think, well, and yeah, maybe I'm wrong in this, but I do think I was actually more hesitant in that area than Marcus was. Yeah. For which it wasn't always a positive thing, because some of that was like the control freak in me of like not being 100% certain and me feeling like I had to be 100% certain before I made a decision anytime. Right. But I do think that it's
better to be sure, though.
Yeah, it is. And I think there's a genuine caution that should be used in general when approaching like romantic relationship, like when we know the Lord. Mm-hmm. And we talked about this in another episode. I'm sure it'll probably be posted before this one, so I'm just going to go ahead and reference it. We talked about in another episode, like the reality of the possibility of like there being a Christian guy or Christian girl in your life who you know, who is in close proximity to you, you might like things about, but might not be the person for you. Yeah. And so having that understanding, I think even early on, especially as like, I don't know, just like as a young person, I feel like is something I wish that I would have had like an older believer look at me and say like, hey, like just because Marcus like loves the Lord, like doesn't mean there's other guys that aren't going to love the Lord and also could be a better fit for you, which sounds really weird to say that now.
Which obviously like that wasn't the case.
No, but I think it would have helped. And I think it would have helped you have someone older in your life say that to you about me. Absolutely. and help you keep me in the right perspective, because I think it makes it really easy to like idolize the other person
in this relationship
and that specific relationship. Yeah. Which, I mean, there's a million ways.
How would you like quick speed, like flashcard version? How would you recommend going about finding out if you're in love with, like sifting through whether or not you're in love with someone?
Well,
how did you do it?
I think something that I processed like a lot, and we've talked about this a little bit before, but I think as I got older, and especially like in probably the 1.5 to 2 years leading up to Marcus and I getting engaged, like a question that I had to ask myself a lot about relationships in general and about Marcus and I's relationship was, am I closer to the Lord with this person or without this person? Mm-hmm. And is my life going to increasingly reflect the Lord because I'm with him, or less so?
Yeah.
And I know it kind of might seem like, how does that have anything to do with like my feelings for that person? Well, I think it actually has a lot to do with it, because if we say as believers that our ultimate desire is the Lord, and that our ultimate desire is to honor the Lord with our lives,
right,
then there's a way in which like even our heart's desire is going to be the person that emulates that love and reflects that love the most. Mm-hmm. And so I think as I process that, it should be. Yeah. And so I think that's something that I process through a lot, but also I think, and I don't know, and I think there's ways probably even at this time that like we were both still really immature in this area. And I think we look back and kind of laugh at it, but like just the way that even like our relationship and your care for me like mirrored that of Jesus's love for me, mm-hmm. just like a relentless love that wasn't based off of always how I reacted or responded, but something based off of scripture that chose to honor me and respect me and put me first. And of course you weren't perfect in that, and I know we were young, but I think there was a way in which like those things, if that is like the top even like priority, were something that was demonstrated from the get-go by you, which is honestly really astounding, even for a 13-year-old, because I know you're really humble about this, but I do think there was a way you were definitely a little bit headstrong about me and it being me.
Yeah.
But I also think that there were ways you really honored the Lord in that, because you just pursued me like you did.
Right.
And that's pretty neat. So,
but that took a lot of, specifically when
No, go ahead.
Was that your full thought?
Yeah.
Specifically before I bought the engagement ring, I did specific, like I had a job obviously, but I did a specific side job, or like a second job, this one spring to pay for the engagement ring. And I did it, and I had all this plan, and I'm a big planner, and I laid all these things out, and I talked to your dad, and then like a month before I bought it, there was like a month that every day I was like, I need to buy the ring tonight. I need to order. And I was just like, I had to really come to peace with like it was a big decision, was mainly.
No, it was a huge decision.
But really just seeking peace from the Lord in that decision is what helped me make that decision, because
that's good. Yeah.
I was able to find peace in the Lord, that was the right decision. I found confirmation in other believers that I, sought counsel in your dad being, someone that I could trust, that would hold me accountable to, to a really high standard for his daughter. And other guys that I worked with and that were in the church, and that I just had a relationship with the Lord that I could trust, and that I could trust their counsel, and their encouragement really was huge. Yes. And that was huge for me to make that decision, was my connection with the Lord, and how I think he gave me a lot of peace in the situation through reaching out to him and asking for guidance and clarity and peace. And then also reaching out to other older, wiser believers in my life to seek counsel.
Yeah.
And those things were able to confirm moving, each little step by the ring.
Well, and
the proposal.
Yeah.
Propose.
Yeah. Yeah. I totally agree. Sorry, I wasn't trying to cut you off either.
No, that was.
I think too, like, even what you're saying is, even similar for me. Like, just not trusting too quickly, like, your own input, like, kind of being like, either on either extreme of like, no, this isn't a good idea, or yes, this is a good idea.
Yeah.
But really inviting in like the thoughts and counsel of other people. And this is something we see benefit in to this day in our marriage, in our parenting, and our thought process. Like, to be humble will always be one of your greatest benefits. Like,
ask other people
what
they
to really like not be like kind of hard-headed and be like, I got this a little bit, and kind of like, I don't know, because I think it's really easy to do, especially when you're examining like your own romantic relationship, because you feel but I think you can feel like no one quite knows or understands the way you do. And yes, of course, like there's depth to your relationship that only you are going to see and understand.
Mm-hmm.
But I think we had like, if you also like date in close proximity to the body of Christ, and you date in close proximity to people who are ahead of you, like there's a really unique protection and beauty in the fact that like they should be able to, and you should welcome their input in your life.
And it's helpful.
It's really helpful.
You're not going to be as stressed out or worried or second guessing all your decisions if the people around you can trust are giving you good counsel, and you are going to the Lord for peace.
Yeah, absolutely. And so I think
that's how we decided to.
Yeah, that's kind of how we decided. And I know we were kind of joking about like the being in love at 13 thing, but I do think there is a way, and we've talked about this too, like not to undermine the reality of like what the Lord did early on in our relationship.
Yeah.
But he brought us through a lot. Yeah, and what he can do for others. Like, I mean, the Lord can 100% give you your spouse at 13, and maybe you will get married young. I wouldn't marry them at 13, but
maybe be their friend for a long while.
Yeah, maybe start there.
Figure it out.
But there is a really unique, I don't know, a sweetness in our story, and I praise God for just all of the ways that he did grow us and grow us together, and even just, I don't know, I think probably teach us so much about each other, and like really build our friendship and relationship in a way that has made marriage is not perfectly easy for us by any means, but the Lord really did give us a really solid foundation of friendship and understanding of each other because we grew up together.
Yeah, for real.
Which is not everyone's story, but it is ours, and I'm really thankful for it.
Yeah. And hopefully, we can encourage our children with this story, not to like go pursue their spouse at 13, but how to go about it and how to,
Well, and I think too, I don't know, I hesitate to even say like this would be like input for parents, but maybe just like, because I know there's probably a lot of younger parents listening to this, just like for us too, we already process like what our approach even to Weston, like, it's so funny to think about that. Yeah. But those things, but I think
15, 20 years from now,
I will say,
what are we gonna,
what are we going to do? 20 years.
If he's 20 and we're like, 20. This is what you should do with
he's
dating.
Been on a date by then.
That might be slightly unhealthy.
Hopefully
he's got a date.
If not, that's okay.
Yeah, what if he's only 5 foot tall? He will never get a date.
Oh my goodness, babe. He might be a late bloomer too. He is in the 10th percentile for height.
Yeah.
That is true. But he's awesome. He's rocking it. But I don't know. I just was kind of thinking about, because we definitely look at our dating experience and that time of being like, okay, there was definitely some really hard things about this. We don't know if we would necessarily do everything the same way with our kids, but also we did have parents who were really gracious with us as 13-year-olds to like even give us the credit.
In the moment, I was like, you're so suffocating. And now looking back, I'm like
well, I was 13 years old. And yeah. And so looking back, yeah.
I was 5'1".
Yeah, for real.
Yeah, your dad is 6'4". And I was like, I'm in love with your daughter. And he's like,
Marcus was not shy either about it, which is crazy to me. But it is, I don't know. It is sweet looking back. And I do think there is something to be said for, I think it's challenged me even already to be like just giving your kids feelings and the way that they're processing things credit, you know?
Yeah.
And trusting that like the Lord also holds their life, and no, not everyone is going to marry the person they have a crush on at 13. But I think our story even is going to be a really good reminder for me in moments of like, we had real feelings and we had real things that even the Lord, I think, was very intentionally bending our hearts towards each other, even at that time. And if our parents would have just kind of squashed that out, it would have actually been really bad for us, you know, and it would have maybe even caused, they didn't do that. And so I think maybe it's just, I don't know. I just felt called to say that because I feel like it is a good reminder for us as like young parents, even because someday that'll be us and it'll be our little kids with feelings and everything else, you know.
This time right now is a lot, but a teenager is going to be crazy.
Yeah, but it is really sweet, and you never, I don't know, we should never underestimate the Lord's plans for each of us and the ways that those can come about, you know.
Yeah.
And even the lives of our own kids, like we don't know. We haven't gone before them and we don't see their spouse or who that's going to be. So
but
we should come alongside them.
The Lord does.
In every way. Yeah, exactly. And not squash them, you know. And I'm thankful that our parents didn't do that with us. So.
Well, that was a long-winded story.
That was a long one.
But.
Some good laughs, though, in between.
We hope that.
About your height.
I
don't know how it always ends up back there.
Well, that's what you always bring. You're always like, my first impression, he was a short little
dude. But
dude.
you guys might have noticed that Marcus literally was like, well, I know what you're going to say, but I'm going to ask you anyways. Because every time.
Yeah, no, I knew. I just don't like that you said it. But all right, guys. We hope that you've been, we hope that we've been some sort of encouragement to you today.
Yeah.
Seek the Lord for peace in your decision making.
Yeah,
but
absolutely.
Especially with your spouse.
And seek the counsel of others and your community and the Lord, first and foremost.
But we love you guys, and we'll see you tomorrow.
Love you. See you tomorrow.